What's up everyone, how is everyone going? In this video, I'll be sharing you some tips where you can turn your life around in 30 days. Now, maybe this year just hasn't been your year. There's goals that you wanted to hit and you didn't quite hit them. You feel like, damn, the year's gone so fast and I have not accomplished anything. Which is fine because there's about 60 something days left to the year, and with these tips, you can start building momentum for the next year. All right, with that being said, let's get started. Number one, you want to fix your sleep. Now, sleep is very important because it's one of the foundations of your overall health. And when this foundation is not solid or consistent, your other areas of your life can fall down really, really fast. Now, I'm gonna use myself as an example. So earlier on this year, I was working 2 jobs, a normal Monday to Friday, and then a few nights a week from Wednesday to Saturday night, I was working night shifts at the airport. Now, the Wednesday to Friday pretty much felt like a big rush because I would just go to the first job, and then I'll have a few hours to myself and I'll try to squeeze my gym routine into that. And then we'll start the next job at, let's say, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Get home about 2:30 maybe, then shower, go to sleep, and then wake up again at 6:30 and repeat that same process for the next couple of days. Now, it didn't actually take long for me to start feeling the effect of having poor sleep routine because I would wake up tired, no energy, pretty much depressed, and the days I had off for work, I pretty much just wanted to do nothing. Which means like the things I did enjoy, which was skateboarding and going to the gym, I didn't really go and do that consistently, and there was no progression into those two hobbies and stuff like that. So overall time, it builds up. I think this is why you should have a very consistent, good sleeping routine so you can have energy to do the things that you like to do. So yeah, fix your sleep. And I know if you're a shift worker, it can be quite hard. So do the best you can. Maybe you have to cut out like the screen time on your phone just to get that 6 to 8 hour schedule. Okay, tip number 2, eat real foods only and no eating out. Okay, there's this quote that I really like and I'm gonna read it out to you. It goes, "Society eats so much junk food that eating real food is considered dieting." Processed food is pretty much everywhere you go nowadays. And if you can avoid it, you can actually put yourself way ahead of most people. Many processed foods contains a high amount of sugar, which is obviously links to heart disease, heart attack, type 2 diabetes, and nobody wants that, right? So by cutting that out of your diet completely can be quite hard. Now, I think the best way to get rid of these processed food or like the unhealthy meals that you eat is, let's say you eat 5 meals a day. You can start replacing one of those meals to a healthier one. So now let's say you're eating 4 not so healthy meals, but now you're adding 1 really, really healthy meals. And then when you get used to that, then you start replacing another one. And when more momentum builds up, you keep replacing it again and again and again. And eventually you'll be used to it. And next thing you know, all your meals are pretty much healthy. And now if you can afford this, I will personally recommend you guys get a personal trainer. Kind of put your money on the line because that's what I did. So I got a personal trainer. He gave me a gym plan to follow and a meal plan to follow for 12 weeks. And I remember day 4, I was like, oh damn, this is actually really hard. But I just kept going with it. And as time goes on, you build consistency, you build discipline, and then results started to come in, right? And this is where it becomes very addicting because now you're seeing results, you're starting to feel good, your body's starting to change, and you'll get to a point where, damn, I don't want to eat junk food anymore. I don't want to drink sugary drinks anymore because you feel like alive. Feeling alive is because like you start eating the foods that God pretty much put on this earth for you to eat. So it's not this processed junk that's everywhere, and it might taste good in the beginning, but then soon after you start feeling like, why did I do that for? Now, another thing that you want to cut out alongside with the processed food is alcohol. Alcohol is pretty much legit for your body, and it's like pretty much empty calories, right? Which can slow you down your progress at the gym or even like your other physical activities. Now, it can actually increase your chances of getting injured if you're into physical activities and stuff like that. And also if you are injured and you consume alcohol, the recovery process takes longer. Overall, I believe by cutting out processed food, cutting out alcohol, your life will get better. And we should start treating our bodies like temples because it is. Another thing that you really want to cut out is porn. Now, there's a quote that I saw a while ago when it comes to porn, and it goes like, the reason why it's free is because you pay for it with your soul. And which is true, because it's such a soul killer, it's such a soul drainer. Now, getting rid of this habit can be quite challenging actually, especially let's say you're someone who just learned that pornography is bad for you. But I'm going to share to you some tips that helps me personally to avoid the temptations of falling into this. In Darwin, which is like the north region of Australia, and it's home to saltwater crocodiles. And anywhere you go, if you're going fishing or going swimming, there's signs saying you should be croc-wise. And I think the best way to avoid being attacked by a crocodile is staying away from the water. So this is my point to you guys about the best way to avoid falling into the temptation of pornography is having this self-awareness of where you are. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, let's say you're home alone and you know that no one's going to be home for the next few hours. Falling into the temptations of watching pornography could be a little bit higher than usual. Another example could be where it's nighttime, everyone else has gone to sleep, but you're still wide awake because you're not tired, you're scrolling on your phone. So that means temptations could creep up to you more and more because of that situation. Pretty much what I'm saying is you must have self-awareness where you're currently at. Otherwise, it could be really easy for you to fall into temptation because you'll let your guard down. Now, I just think having self-awareness of the current situation would definitely help you avoid falling into the temptations, and also not letting the temptation grows and build momentum, because it can be quite hard once you kind of like start to creep, get your foot in the door, and you have this mindset of like, oh, might as well do it because I'm already like halfway in. Another way that helps me avoid the temptations is also to keep myself busy. So that means giving myself something to think about, and that's usually my goals with skating, my goals with the gym. And now, like let's say at nighttime, I now have videos to edit, so that keeps me pretty much distracted from the temptations. Just like I said in the beginning, that this can be quite challenging and it can take quite some time to get rid of this habit. So you want to keep in mind that take this one day at a time, because sometimes when you think about like 6 months from now, like, oh, it could be quite daunting, and you start having doubts of like, oh, I don't know if I can go 6 months without this, blah, blah, blah. But just take one day at a time, one temptation at a time, and next thing you know, you build momentum, just like every other habit, and you keep a streak, and eventually it becomes like processed food situation where you don't want to go back to it. Now, let's talk about the habits you do want to have every single day. So one habit that you want to have every single day is always continuing to learn, because there's a quote, when you stop learning, you start dying. Just like processed food, which is everywhere, like we mentioned earlier, so are negative thoughts. Now, negative thinking can come from a lot of things, such as the news, social media, even your friends or family. And this is why you got to be careful on who you hang around with. You have to create boundaries, and then you want to be intentional of feeding yourself positive thoughts. So what that could look like is listen to a podcast a day, read at least 15 minutes of a personal growth book that will help you develop positive thinking to tackle the negative thinking that you might receive on the day-to-day basis. Now, for those who are spiritual and believe in higher power, last tip I'll give you is to pray to God on a daily basis. When our phone is running on low on battery, we often don't hesitate to find a charger and charge our phones. But funny enough, when our spiritual life is on low battery, we do not have the same urgency. Now, by praying, reading the Bible is pretty much keeping our souls healthy, because you're pretty much charging your soul up with the actual real source. Now, I believe like this is a very hard thing to be on top of, because there's so many distractions out there. You will notice that it's very hard to pray and even read a little bit of the Bible, because there's a part of you that doesn't want to do that, and that's what they call the flesh. But there's a part of you that knows that this is what you need to do, which is the Spirit telling you, okay, this is the right directions. And you find yourself like finding yourself fighting yourself pretty much. And this is why prayer and reading the Bible is important, because God wants the best for you more than you do, actually, if you believe that or not. And we all know that we do not know what's best for us. So by trusting God, by praying and reading the Bible, is keeping our spiritual life healthy. As time goes on, you'll see that like, oh, my life is actually getting better because I put my faith to a being that wants the best for me. Okay guys, I hope that this video helped you. And if it does, leave a comment below and give it a like and subscribe. That will help me also. And I'll see you guys next time.